Hello, I'm Jordan, you're not, and tonight the Season 6 premiere of The Walking Dead starts. So to help get ready for that, I'm going to review one of my all-time favorite movies in the history of the world ever. For the longest time, I just refused to do a review on this because I felt like I couldn't do it justice. But I've had some time to think, and I was going to review it last year, but my camera messed up, so I'll wait a year to do it. This is my review on John Carpenter's Halloween. Yeah, this one, and you have that one. So, which one should I actually review? I'm thinking this one. I love you, buddy. I'm sorry. Okay. So, ever since I was 8 years old, this movie has meant a lot to me. It came out. Halloween H2O came out in 1998, and to help get ready for that, my mom showed me a copy of the original on VHS. A crummy little VHS tape. And ever since then, it's made a huge impact on my life and the way I view movies. So the movie was written by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. I know pretty much everything, top to bottom, the whole cast and everything. You know, Jamie Lee Curtis plays Laurie Strode. Nancy Loomis plays Annie Brackett. We got P.J. Souls as Linda Vanderklot. I think they finally gave her a name. P.J. Souls was in Carrie, another one of my favorite movies from the 70s. So the setting of, the atmosphere of this movie is creepy, and I love it. I love Halloween. The holiday also. But, it doesn't really feel Halloween-ish. You can tell it takes place like in the springtime, because there's one point Annie said that she was going to pick Laurie Strode up at 6 o'clock, and it was, 6:30, my bad. And it's still light out, even though it's like, fall, Halloween, it gets dark around 4:30 to 5 now. And let's see here. Oh, I even have the book of Halloween. It's an actual novelization of the movie. It cost me $26. That's how hardcore I am. Okay. So, is this movie great? Is it the best movie ever? Am I overhyping it? Let's find out. Now, I'm sure every horror fan in the world has seen this movie, so there's really no point in watching this, is there? I'm just talking to myself. But hopefully there's maybe one or two people out there that still like to hear about it and to hear about how awesome it is. And if you haven't seen this movie, where the hell have you been the past 30 years? Alright, so there's going to be some spoilers for those that have never seen this movie for whatever reason. Okay, the movie starts on Halloween night 1963, but first we see the awesome opening with the pumpkin and the Halloween theme song. That theme song and the music throughout the whole movie is great. It makes the movie a lot better. Originally, John Carpenter didn't have the music to Halloween, and he said an executive said there's nothing scary about it. But then he put the music to it, and that's when it got screwy as hell. So Halloween 1963, we can't see who's this. We get the point of view shot of someone walking around, but it is Michael Myers. So for some reason, in Halloween 6, there's an old lady named Mrs. Blankenship who says that she was babysitting Michael Myers that night. But we never see her. And then we see he's stalking his sister Judith and her boyfriend Steve. They're making out on the couch. And, she says, well, Michael should be around here somewhere. So which is it? Is he there at the Myers house, or is he supposed to be over at Mrs. Blankenship's house? Did he go from her house back to his house, and then vice versa? Did he change up houses? What's the deal there? I don't get that. So then the sister and the boyfriend go upstairs to have 30 seconds of sex. So back in the 70s, 30 seconds of sex equals awesome and fantastic. But nowadays, women be like, "You fail yourself as a man, get out of my bed!" Yeah. So we see young Michael grab a knife from the kitchen. And then whenever Steve leaves, he slowly goes up the steps. And then he sees this little clown mask. He puts it on. He goes into his sister's bedroom, and she's naked. Well, she has panties on. She's brushing her hair, singing, oh, she's so happy because she's in love after having 30 seconds of sex. And then she turns around and sees Michael, and then he stabs the crap out of her. And then he looks at himself stabbing her, like, whoa, I'm stabbing myself. And then he's not looking at her while he's stabbing. He's looking at his arm stabbing. Who does that? So we don't really know why he killed his sister. I mean, I guess he's evil. I mean, was she ever mean to him, or was she ever abusive, or what happened there? We don't know. We just know that he's evil, which Dr. Loomis will remind you every time he's on screen, just to let you know just how evil he really is. So he goes down the stairs and just happens to run into his parents coming home. I guess his mom was at the Rabbit and Red strip club lounge stripping. And then the dad takes the mask off. He's like, Michael? And then they stare at him awkwardly for like 30 seconds. It's just like, Michael? Who does that? I mean, who just stands there for 30 seconds not saying anything? I mean, were they like that the rest of the night? What happened there? Okay, now we get to a part where, originally, back in 1980 or somewhere, they were making Halloween 2, and then they were going to air the original on TV. So then, like, some kind of TV executive said, they had to refilm some footage so that they can take some scenes out, which I don't understand that. So yeah, I think John Carpenter had to go back and film like a scene with Dr. Loomis at the hospital, or like Smith's Grove Sanitarium, explaining just how evil Michael is again, for the first time actually. And he wants to put him into like a maximum security prison, but they say no, he has to stay there at Smith's Grove until he's 21, So Dr. Loomis looks over him for the next 15 years. He's like, you fooled them, haven't you, Michael? But not me. Again, this is the TV version. It's not in this version. You have to look very carefully for the TV version. It's in the box set. Okay, 15 years later, October 30th, 1978. Dr. Loomis and Nurse Marion Chambers are going to Smith's Grove to pick up Michael to take him to court to be tried as an adult for killing Judith. And then he sees that Nurse Chambers has a matchbook from the Rabbit and Red Lounge, which is where Michael's mom strips at. So I guess, did Nurse Chambers go see Michael's mom strip? That's some kinky shit. So when they get there, they see all the inmates walking around, which means that Michael is loose. Now, did Michael do it? Was he the one that let everyone out, or was it the man in black? The man in black, who's a part of this Thorn cult from Halloween 6? We don't know. Actually, I think in the TV version they might have said that Michael was the one that let him out. So waiting for some secret silent alarm to trigger him off. So then Dr. Loomis is in a panic. So he's going to travel 150 miles to Haddonfield, Illinois, but we'll get to that later. Next, we meet little Laurie Strode, who's so sweet and innocent and adorable. She's so precious and everything. And her dad works in Realty, Strode Realty, which is where his brother works at, and that's his brother gets into the house in Halloween 6. Okay, everything revolves around Halloween 6, I guess. So he has his daughter, Laurie. Yeah, that's his real daughter, by the way. She has her drop this key off at the Myers house because apparently someone's going to come by and look at it. Which they never, that would have been an awesome scene to have, like, a couple go to the Myers house, check it out, and then Michael's there, then stabs them and kills them or whatever. But that never happens. And it didn't happen in the remake either. What's the matter with you, Rob Zombie? You should have done that. So on the way there, she runs into Tommy Doyle, who she's going to babysit that night, and who's the star of Halloween 6. She drops off the key, then Michael's standing there in the window, and you can tell he already has his mask. Which this is probably maybe 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. That's important to remember that he already has his mask. So she goes to school, and I'm going to reveal it. I'm going to spoil everything for you. So then back in Smith's Grove, Dr. Loomis is like, you let him out, what's the matter with you? And then Dr. Wynn's like, what is he like? Yeah, he says he's not responsible, and then Dr. Loomis is like giving him crap for letting him out, and he says, two roadblocks, and all points bulletin wouldn't stop a 5-year-old. And then Michael takes their station wagon and he drives off, which I guess someone around there gave him lessons. And that's never explained either. He's just this guy that's been in an asylum for half his life, knows how to drive a car. He knows how to put it into shift and turn the wheel. He knows maybe he stopped and got gas or something. Okay, then we meet Laurie's. Okay, wait, never mind. Let's go back a little bit. So we see Laurie sitting in a classroom in the most boring class in the world, and the most boring teacher in the world. She's like, and the book ends. But what Samuels is really talking about here is fate. You see, fate caught up with several lives here. And then Laurie is just bored stiff, so she looks out the window and she sees Michael Myers standing there looking at her. And this is maybe 9 o'clock, and he has his mask. Remember that. So then, we go to Tommy Doyle, who's getting out of school. And then, he's getting bullied by Lonnie and Keith and Richie. I think that's their names. They don't ever come up again unless they bring them back in Halloween Returns, which maybe they'll the next Halloween film. I don't know. So then they bully Tommy, and then they say the boogeyman's coming, and then Tommy doesn't know about the boogeyman. So then they trip him. He breaks his pumpkin. And then that's when one of the kids happens to run into Michael. And then, so Michael's stalking Tommy too, so he knows where, he goes from one school to the other, so he gets around. Like, why is Michael stalking this random babysitter who has no blood relation to him at all whatsoever? So then we see Laurie and her friends, Annie and Linda. Annie played by Nancy Loomis, and Linda, PJ Souls. Annie is kind of pissed off that, they had this little plan that she was going to pawn Lindsay off on Laurie so that Annie and her boyfriend Paul can go sneak out and have 30 seconds of sexy sex. But they can't do that because Paul got in trouble. And then that's when they see Michael driving down the road in his station wagon, because Evil knows how to drive. So, even then he's stalking all of them just because Laurie walked up to his house. If she did walk up to his house, none of this would have happened. It's all Laurie's dad's fault. I blame him. Okay, what happens next? Oh, yes. So all the girls they're walking home, and then that's when Laurie sees Michael standing behind a bush. And then Annie walks over there, and then you can see like a puff of cigarette smoke it's like random for like a split second. And so then she walks over there, and Michael's gone. He disappears. And then, Annie goes to her house, and then Laurie goes home. And then she says the most random line in the whole movie. Well, kiddo, I thought you outgrew superstition. Okay. Alright. So she goes up to her bedroom and sees that Michael's standing in the clothesline outside. And then he just disappears. Like, did she see him disappear, like just out of the blue, or did she see him walk off slowly? Then, so she gets a random call, and it's Annie, by the way. But she calls, and there's like something in her mouth, like she's. And Laurie's like freaking out because she doesn't know who it is. She thinks it's her stalker, Michael. And she's, who is this? And she's, why didn't she eat something and then call Laurie? Who does that? I mean, who calls and and eats something at the same time? That'd be like, I call, hold on. Alright, I'm gonna pick you up at 6:30. Yeah. Something like that. So yeah, it's 6:30 and it's still light outside. So then Laurie has a pumpkin. Where did she get that pumpkin anyway? I mean, like, Tommy, it was gonna be for Tommy for them to carve later, but she's been there like that whole time ever since she saw Michael there, and it looked like she laid down for a little bit. Maybe